Are you fine? Here's a question.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. Here's a question. Are you finding that the people are returning, or is this a new group of people? Are these the same people we've been talking through this?
It's a few returning, but a few new, so
Okay,
I'll treat it as new.
okay.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome everyone. Come right on in. We're gonna get set up here and just a minute or two and wait for others to dial in, and then we'll begin our program. Thank you for joining us today. Hi, Barbara. Is that your hand up? You have a question, or are you waving at us? Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? And let me begin by welcoming everyone. Again, good morning. My name is Angela Gibson Shaw, and I have the pleasure of serving as the president of the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce, better known as GLAC. And welcome to our GLAC in the AM series. This is our morning network connection, where we bring our members, family, and friends, and associates and contacts together for information, education, and engagement. As many of you know, GLAC is dedicated to the growth and development of African-American businesses in the greater Los Angeles area, but we support all small businesses in California and beyond. I'd like to take a moment and introduce our staff. We have Naomi Scott, she's the Director of Operations, and Chanel Frampton, the Director of Programs. And stay tuned after our presentation to hear more about our upcoming events. Today's presentation is the second in a series of 3 workshops. On April 6th, for those of you that may have attended, we learned about the California Water Association, who they are and how they operate. Today, series 2, we're going to discuss how to register and get certified in order to be able to contract with these top regulated water utilities in the state of California. As you know, we're in a water crisis, so maybe they can share a little information on that and also tell us about why it's so critical that we have diverse suppliers being part of the procurement process. Our goal is to create a pathway for you to access the procurement contracts as a small, diverse supplier. The California Water Association, or CWA as they are known, is made up of all the regulated water utilities in the state of California. That's the CWA. But today we've got the top 6 largest of them that are going to be bringing you information and having a discussion about how to contract with them. I'd like to invite you to put your contact information in the chat box. You also can place your questions there. At the end of the presentations, we will have more time for more engaging Q&A or more discussion. But please we're always networking, always trying to make contacts. So feel free to put your name and what, as a company, what pain point do you solve for clients? How does that work? What pain point do you solve? I know your name of the company might be ABC, but we don't know what pain point that solves for your clients. What is your superpower? What are you bringing to the table? So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Holly Joy, and she is the Supply Diversity Manager with Liberty Utilities. Oh, am I going through okay, that's the welcome. Oh, yeah, let's go back to the agenda. So we're gonna do the welcome. You can go back to the agenda, the welcome. See, these are the folks you're gonna be talking with today. They're gonna talk about the registration certification process. I mentioned that there's a Q&A. I'm sorry, I just blew right through all of the PowerPoint slides. And so then the next one should be the introduction of Holly Joy, correct? There we go. There's a beautiful face. Oh, Supplier Diversity Manager with Liberty Utilities. At this point, it's my pleasure to bring Holly to the stage, to the podium, to the screen, and to lead us in today's discussion. Thanks, Holly.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this Wednesday. This is the third session that we've had with the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber, and we're excited to be able to present these 6 water utilities that could potentially offer opportunities for each of you as you present and provide the goods and services that you offer. Today's discussion is going to be around certification and then also registration with each one of the individual companies. And I want to make sure that we actually separate those two, because they are 2 very different things with 2 very different benefits and potential outcomes. So without further ado, again, my name is Holly Joy. I'm the Supplier Diversity Manager with Liberty Utilities, formerly with Golden State Water Company. And I'd like to ask my colleagues to please introduce themselves, and we'll use what I just learned, a kind of popcorn introduction. I will turn it over to Ed, and then Ed, you turn it over to the next person until we're all introduced. Will that work?
Yes, that works, Holly. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ed Simon. I'm the Inclusion and Diversity Officer for California American Water, which is the largest investor in water utility. Our parent company is the largest investor in water utility in the US, but certainly not the largest here in California. It's great to be with all of you today. Looking forward to sharing with you California American Water's Supplier Diversity Link, and talk about our registration process and a few upcoming opportunities. With that in mind, I'll pass it over to Jeanette Diaz.
Thank you, Ed. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeanette Diaz. I am the Supplier Diversity and Procurement Manager for San Gabriel Valley Water Company. We are located in Southern California. We have 2 divisions. Our Los Angeles division is located in El Monte, and our Fontana Water Company division is located in Fontana. I too am very happy to be here and hopefully have a robust discussion about our certification process and vendor onboarding registration. Thank you. I will pass it on to Jose Espinosa.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Janet. My name is Jose. I am the Supplier Diversity Program Manager for California Water Service. Our organization covers about 25 cities in the state. I'm happy to be here, excited to talk about some of the opportunities, but also how to get registered with us. With that, I'm going to pass it to Tim. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jose. My name is Tim McLaughlin. I'm with San Jose Water Company, and we serve one main region, and that is in and around the San Jose area. We also have other water companies outside of the San Jose area and outside of the state. We have a facility in Texas, we have Connecticut, and we have Maine Water. So we stretch from the West Coast to the East Coast. And we have supplier diversity programs in each of those areas, but the most robust is in San Jose Water. I'll talk to you today about how to register with us, and look forward to having more discussion and hopefully uncover some opportunities. With that, I believe I saw Daryl on the line, so I'll turn it over to you, Daryl.
Hello, everyone. I am Daryl Brown, representing San Gabriel Valley Water Company. I work under Jeanette Diaz. I am her assistant. I am the Supplier Diversity Program Coordinator for San Gabriel Valley Water Company. And I've been with the company over 21 years, and I'm excited to be here and to also look forward to meeting some of you. So with that, I will pass it on to, let's see.
Lauren, if she's
Lauren.
on.
Okay.
Hey, Daryl. Sorry, I'm not on camera today, everybody. I'm under the weather. But my name is Lauren Jades. I'm Director of Communications with Suburban Water Systems. Under Communications, we have Supplier Diversity, Conservation, and Communications. I've been with Suburban for over 7 years, and we service the San Gabriel Valley and Whittier and La Mirada. And I just want to thank you all for being here today.
Thank you for that. It's always good to know who's in the room. And I know that today we want to talk about certification and registration with both of the companies. I don't think that I've missed any of my colleagues. Golden State Water does not have a representative on at this point. And Lauren, I'm not missing Calais, am I?
No.
Okay, so that is who the CWA is today. But because we have a few people, and I see Sharon Evans, I'm so glad to see you too. I see Sharon. I'd like to know who's in the room with us, who decided that they wanted to spend Wednesday morning with us. So not to take up so much time, but if we could just kind of go around the room, and I'll call people out as I see them on my screen, and just tell us who you are, one word about what you're offering. I know that Angela spoke about what potential pain points you could be having. That may not be something we're able to do right in this segment, but I would like to know who has joined us today, who's interested enough in water to be able to spend an hour and a half with us. So Naomi and Angela, I'm assuming all of your members know who you are. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but in the interest of time, we'll just go right into the people that I don't know. Is that fair? Okay.
That is fair. That's
All
fair.
right, I'm going to call you out. Be ready, because take your phone off mute, because when I call you, we're looking for your 2-second introduction. Warrior Richardson. Mr. Richardson. Okay, we'll come back because you're on mute right now. Mr. Richardson, we can
Okay,
hear you now.
thank you for your patience.
That's okay.
I'm an artist and a writer, and my focus is on Christian content, but I do everything else.
Okay, thank you. Bianca, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bianca Vobecki, president of Vobecki Enterprises. We're 16 years old. We're a construction firm that also support the construction industry by providing trucking services, staffing services, and construction materials. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon, my friend, how are you doing?
Good morning. It's so good to see everybody. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm Sharon Evans. I run Southwest Advancing Solutions, which is a CPUC certified DBE firm. And everybody knows I run the Business Resource Group for 23 years, and we build capacity and diverse suppliers. And so I'm really excited. We're doing a lot of things in energy and water, and we're really trying to help diversify this segment. So I'm so glad to see all my old friends and Jose and Tim and all of you guys.
Great, thank you. Mrs. C.R. Cochrane McClure, is it? We might have you on mute. Oh, there you are. Okay. C.R. Cochrane, or is that Barbara McGee? We're seeing Barbara McGee. How are you? But we're not hearing.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, here I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Oh, wonderful. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Barbara McGee with Barbo Services, LLC, and we are Power Street Sweepers. We provide water trucks for construction agencies, and we're certified in all areas. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Erica Jones? You might be on mute, Erica.
Sorry about that. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm Erica Jones. I am owner broker of Modern Luxury Real Estate and ePlanet Mortgage. We're here in Sherman Oaks. My husband and I, we have a nonprofit that we're working on, and we're just generally excited about, doing what we can to help. So he asked me to hop on.
Okay. All right, thank you. Dana Jones. Would that be is that Erica and Dana Jones?
Yeah, that's me. Hey, I'm Dana.
Okay.
Like you said, our husband. So yeah, we also have Catch 24 Realty, our real estate company. So I've been getting these emails. So I just been, quite wanting to see what was going on as far as the water and everything. So I said, hey, let's get on this webinar and see what's going on and see what we can learn and see how we can add value and things of that nature. So here we
Okay, well,
are.
thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Pamela Richardson.
Hello. I have a startup company called PMR Associates Welding and Fabrication Inc. We provide commercial and residential welding needs.
I'm sorry, commercial and residential welding?
Welding needs, yeah.
Okay.
Pamela,
Thank you.
really welding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. We need
I'm
to
sorry,
talk.
this my
we
screen
need to
frozen.
talk
Give
with
me
you.
1 second.
Right.
I know a guy who's looking for a welding job, actually.
Pamela, are you underwater welding or just?
No, just structural, everything else on land.
Okay. Thank you for that. Marissa. Marissa Nance. Okay, we'll go on Siobhan Stewart. You're on mute.
Hello, everybody. I'm Siobhan Stewart. I've been running a nonprofit for 14 years for underserved girls, but I just started a company, C3 Industries. I'm new in having a business as a Black woman, and I'm really just here to learn. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What is it that C3 Industries provides, Siobhan?
So our focus is going to be on the community, and we're going to provide marketing and advertising. We're also going to be in the youth sector. Since I do nonprofit work, I want to stay there and see what I can offer in terms of government contracting with the community and youth.
Okay, thank you. Marissa, you were on mute previously. Let's see if we can get you back. Okay, Rhonda Jackson.
Good morning. I'm
morning.
Rhonda Jackson. My company's Decor, and we transform space with paint, high performance coatings, waterproofing, and anti-graffiti. We transform lives through transitional employment for at-risk youth, recently released individuals, and veterans.
Thank you for that. I'm thinking that Marlene Bonner.
Hi, good morning. This is Marlene with Snap Marketing. We provide custom marketing and promotional items and solutions for clients for all of their marketing needs.
Thank you. I think I've heard from everyone. Is there anyone that I've missed?
Me, Edward Jones.
Oh, Edward Jones. Okay, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. My name is Edward Jones. I'm a DVBE, some disabled veteran, minority-owned business. I primarily service the area through sales and marketing of water conservation measures. So it was part of the ESSA program with SoCalGas, where we did the low flow shower heads and faucet aerators and things of that nature. And I'm currently working with the company on the toilet program. So everything I can to reduce energy consumption, water consumption is what I'm all about. I work directly with property management companies and apartment building owners to see if we can reduce the energy conservation footprint for those type of buildings. So always looking for opportunities to work with folks to do sales, marketing, and education and outreach. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, last call for anyone else? Okay, so we'll, Angela and Chanel and Naomi will move it right along. We'll talk about certification first. First and foremost, I want to thank each of you for again joining us. Some of the areas and services and goods that you provide to us would be or could be useful for the opportunities that we present. You'll hear a little bit about that in this this session. You'll also hear from each one of the utilities about what their registration process is. You've heard in the introductions that there are at least a couple of areas where people are interested now. That might be some offline conversations, some follow-up needed and continued dialogue. But we're going to jump right into California Water Association, as Angela mentioned, is association of all of the investor-owned water utilities in California. The companies that are represented here are considered the seven largest investor-owned water utilities in California, and we participate in the Public Utility Commission Supplier Diversity Program that under what is known as General Order 156. That general order requests that investor-owned utilities throughout the state of California spend at least 21.5% of all of their procurement dollars with diverse-owned companies. Diversity is defined through the CPUC's program as minority, women, disabled veteran, LGBT, and upcoming disabled persons categories. Specifically in the minority area, we're looking at Asian Pacific, Native American, African American, and Hispanic American business owners. There's a requirement that there's 51% or more ownership by that diverse individual in order to qualify as a diverse business, which brings us to how do we validate that that is actually a diverse owned business? We certify those businesses through the exclusive certifying agent called the Supplier Clearinghouse. Some of you on this call I know are familiar with it just because I'm familiar with you. Some of you are new to the industry, such as the Joneses in their real estate market. And others that may just want to hear about what's really going on when we talk about diverse owned businesses. And let's hop on this call to see if we can learn some more. The Supplier Clearinghouse, as I mentioned, the certifying agent exclusively for the Joint Utilities of California. And let me unpack that. Joint Utilities of California is not just limited to these 6 or 7 investor-owned water utilities, but actually encompasses about 30 to 35 investor-owned utilities, including telecommunications, energy, and water. So we're talking about Verizon, we're talking about AT&T, we're talking about Frontier Communications, we're talking about Comcast. And from that network, we make up the Joint Utilities of California. As a collective utilities or joint utilities, there has been an excess of $12 billion spent with diverse owned companies over the last years. That figure was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And so it may have increased, but I just want to tell you that the water utilities were a little bit not late coming into the game for lack of wanting to be in the game, but simply around 2010, the water utilities entered into the agreement under this general order to participate in supplier diversity programs. And because it's been about 10 years, you would have to allow at least 5 years for growth and maturity. So circa 2015, 2016, the water utilities really started gaining momentum in their supplier diversity programs, really started creating visibility for who we were and what it was that we wanted to accomplish in this particular marketplace. And I'm pleased to announce that as of 2022, this collective of 7 investor-owned water utilities has contributed over $1 billion of spend with diverse communities. And we continue to grow our programs, not just from the percentage of spend, but also to develop the diverse companies that are working with us, to introduce new companies into our products and services, and continuing to inform and spread the message, broaden the urgency of the need for us to stay committed from this vantage point in the communities that we serve. So again, we're happy that you have joined us today, if only to learn more about what supplier diversity is, how we play in it from the water utilities industry, and what we can do to try and help advance the messaging. So back to certification. When we talk about certification, there's an application process that is absolutely free to any diverse business enterprise in those categories that we spoke of, that is managed by the Supplier Clearinghouse. It does require some digging, if you will, of information. Your application is thorough. That will include not only identification, but also your resumes, also your your team members, the services that you provide, your standard industrialized codes, and also some of your finances in terms of your tax forms. This is not needed to say, oh, this is a good business or not a good business because you're not making a whole bunch of money. We're not looking at your bottom line dollars. What we're looking at is the continuity of your business infrastructure, that it works and it's a viable company. So please don't be offended or apprehensive because we're looking for 1 or 2 years of your tax forms in this application process. The process takes generally 30 to 45 days, sometimes might require a site visit by the certification analysts that are employed at the Supplier Clearinghouse. But once you have that certification, the benefits can be tremendous because you join a database that is accessible by all 30 to 35 joint utilities when they are sourcing for particular goods and services that are needed for the sometimes multi-million-dollar projects. It's also available to the general public. Limited information, your tax information and things that are very, very personal and intrinsic to that enterprise are not shared on a public level, but they can at least see that you are a viable company that might be offering the goods and services that they need. So this can be accessed by prime supplier contractors that work with the joint utilities and specifically with these investor-owned water utilities. So it's a good thing. It's free, a little bit of time consuming when you think about it, and maybe a little bit, why should I do that? The reason why is for the hope and the possibility of opportunity. Nothing is guaranteed in this space. As business owners, you already know that. You know that every day you wake up and you're charting your own course. And I personally have a healthy respect for that. But you also have to know that there's work to be done. You also have to know that it's not anything that we can guarantee, but just getting yourself out there with another possibility sometimes creates the greatest opportunity and can move your business on down the road. So having said all of that around certification, let me ask my team members if you want to chime in. What did I forget about the certification process, the need, the opportunity, and the advantages for that? Any one of you, any of my colleagues, please jump in.
Holly, you may have said this, but I got a call here, but did we talk through where they would go get certified through the Supplier Clearinghouse and that link, or maybe the website that they would need to go to? I'm not asking that we go through the website itself and the details, but just want folks to know it's free and where to go to look at it and register and determine if they qualify for the more abbreviated application or more of the long-term application.
Thank you for that, Ed.
Okay.
I just sent in the chat the actual link to the Supplier Clearinghouse. And as Ed mentioned, we won't go into the Supplier Clearinghouse, but know that there are 3 different ways that you can apply. One is called the fast track. For some of the new businesses that are on here, if you should decide to apply, the fast track is for businesses that are less than 1 to 3 years old, right? And it's a shorter application process. We recognize that you may not have the tax forms, and so they give you about a year or two to send those in when you file those first taxes for your enterprise. The longer application are for businesses that have been more than 1 to 3 years in existence. It's when we say longer, we're not talking about it's going to take you 6 months of pages to go through, but we are telling you that it is a more thorough. It does ask you to reach back and talk about what your business plan is and to provide how you've invested in that particular business, either with receipts or what you've done in order to show that you have put it all in to get this business stood up. And then we have what we call comparable agency verification. That's when you're already certified through another minority entity like National Minority Supplier Diversity Council or like Women Business Enterprise National Council, or even if you're part of the LGBT community, the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. And those are called comparable agency verifications. So there's 3 different avenues that you can come in, depending on where your business enterprise falls, you choose the one that's best for you. That website will provide all of the information, these definitions that I've just given you, as well as contact information should you need to reach out and talk to somebody about what it is you're seeing and how you navigate the site. So Ed, did that answer what I missed previously?
Yes, for me, and my apologies for not raising my hand. So I apologize.
Oh, you know what?
And San Gabriel. And
I didn't even see that. Is that what Jeanette told you?
yes, my apologies.
Okay.
The team will tell you I'm usually not that rude, right, Jose and Jeanette? Don't comment on that.
Plead the fifth. I'm just kidding.
Jeanette, Tim, Jose, Lauren, if you feel up to it, Daryl, anything that I can add about certification and what I spoke on?
Jose, go ahead. I think you had your hand raised first.
I'm
Thank
not
you,
even seeing the
Jeanette.
hands raised. I'm so sorry.
So I think that additional benefits, some of our companies do have procurement policy clauses that help with inclusion of diverse suppliers when they're certified. Also, some of us do score the subcontracting plans on RFP, and by this I mean when they bring a diverse supplier into as a subcontractor, some of us do look at. Obviously, these 2 things are only possible if you're certified. So that's what I wanted to add.
Thank you for that, Jose. Tim, or Jeanette?
Yes. So I just wanted to say that I know it can sound and seem a little bit overwhelming, the process, but I can speak for myself and I think my colleagues here that we are happy to assist in the process. I've had a lot of vendors come to me and ask me for some guidance. And I've, had to put a meeting together with myself and even a clearinghouse representative to help you understand the process and what will be required of you and the time it will take and any other questions that you might have. I am happy to hear. I'm happy to help you in any way I can with the process. If you are confused about it, don't be shy. Feel free to ask any questions.
Thank you for that. Daryl, anything that you'd like to add? You're on mute.
No, Holly, at this time, I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
I just, thank you very much.
Okay. One thing that I also want to point out about certification, even though this the Supplier Clearinghouse is the exclusive certifying agent used by the joint utilities, please know that when I talk about John Q. Public being able to access, this website is accessed by municipalities. It is accessed by other industries because they look to us to not necessarily look to us on any official level, but they know that we have done thorough certifying of diverse-owned businesses as they decide to ramp up their diverse supplier supply chain or their spend with diverse suppliers. It's oftentimes accessed by other entities. So again, your receiving certification through the Supplier Clearinghouse really does open up opportunities potentially, not just with the joint utilities, but within any industry that you think your goods and services might be able to perform well. With that being said, so that you've heard from the team, let's open it up for any questions that you might have regarding certification. And once we finish certification, we'll move into the individual companies about the registration process, opportunities, and we'll continue to be mindful of the time for this session. So any questions, I guess I should ask, please raise your hand so that I can call on you and hope that I see you. Angela Shaw.
Yes, Angela. Yes.
Angela.
Thank you, Holly. Just call me Angela. So when you go online to get registered or certified, because there's a difference, right? There's registering with your company, and then there's getting certified with the supplier clearinghouse. Do
Yes.
you know about how long it takes to complete that process? And then about how long does it take to get approval of, how long does it take the supplier clearinghouse to approve the application?
It's generally between 30 to 45 days. In terms of completing an application, it really is it's at your own pace. You can register on the Supplier Clearinghouse website to begin the application process, and you're able to come back in and finish it much like you would take a in-house learning course or something like that, right? But in terms of how long would it take an applicant to get an application completed, I would say, again, even though it's self-paced, I always tell people, don't just jump into it because it can look overwhelming, right?
Right.
One day, just spend time on the site, looking at the documentations that are needed, looking at what you're going to do to fill it out, and then kind of pace yourself. And from the time that you begin, if you have all of your documents in a row, it could take you maybe a day or two, maybe, right? At the same time, once it's submitted, we're talking about a 30 to 45 day turnaround. I see that Jeanette was first, I guess, and then Ed, they want to add something. So
Yeah.
Jeanette, go ahead.
Thanks, Holly. I just wanted to add, yeah, to your point, yes, it just depends on how readily you have the information available that they're requesting, so that can vary. And also there is a 90-day time period on the application. So if you don't submit the required information by 90 days, the application will close out and you'll have to start a new application.
Thank you for that, Jeanette. Ed?
Yeah, Jeanette touched on a couple of things I wanted to say, and I would say this, having personally gone through the process, it's really not that bad. I will tell you, you do want to make sure that you have all of the documents that you need available, which would make it a lot faster. There's a list, depending on which application you want to submit, the comparable agency or just the regular application, there is a list of all of the documents that you need. And I would encourage you to register. And then to Jeanette's point, the 90-day clock starts to tick after you register. But it gives you, you can take the first 30 days just to gather all the documents. And that way you can sit in front of the computer and just, upload everything. So yes, I would encourage you to look at the list first before you, start to work on entering the information online. And then the only other ask, Holly, I have a hard stop at 11. So I know I was last on the list of companies, but if I could go somewhere in between, that would be great, because I do have another call at 11 and I don't want to miss the opportunity to talk to the group. So just put that
Okay. Okay, and you can go first too, Ed. Let's just check one last time. Are there any questions from any of the other participants?
Holly, I have one last question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hi, Barbara McGee with Barbell Services. I had a quick question. My question is that we are certified, we've got about 7 certifications with LA Metro. Could we fast track with that? We've been in business 3 years and we've done a lot of business. God willing, we've had a successful run. So can we fast track? Would that be okay? Or how does that work?
I'm going to say, I don't know. But really on a serious note, I don't know. I believe that it's really the length of time that you've been in business, not necessarily the different certifications that you've had. So I would say, check on the website and see what the actual criteria is for fast tracking. But on the flip side, because you have the various certifications with LA Metro, you probably have all of the documents that you're going to need at your fingertips, and it's just a duplication in your uploading. So even if you were to do, or even if the requirements point you toward the standard application, you're probably ready to submit that. because you've had the other certifications, you've been through the LA Metro process. And I'm not sure what all of the parameters are for the LA Metro process, but I'm venturing to say it might be somewhat similar. So just take a look on the website to see where you could fall and what would be the most expedient for you. Does that make sense?
Holly, I was just going to add what you kind of covered already. Yeah, on the website, it does explain the different application options, the fast track or the standard.
Right.
But I always tell my vendors to pursue the fast track option. That doesn't hurt to pursue that option, and then they will let you know if you're not eligible or if you're missing something that you need. But I also would advise you, if you're working with a utility company and you're applying at the same time, I tell my vendors, let me know you're applying. So I contact my contact at the clearinghouse and let them know that, hey, I have a vendor who's applying. Let me know if I can help in any way. You know, of course, they don't disclose any private information, but they'll let me know like, hey, your vendor's missing some information, you might want to give them a call. So it kind of helps me to facilitate with it and be in the loop, and then give you guys a call and push you to get that information in before it closes out. So thank you.
Thank you. And for everyone, and to Jeanette's point, each and every one of us are advocates for you as diverse suppliers in any aspect of your journey, including the certification process. When you let us know that you're either entering into that process, or you have some additional questions that you're not getting, that you feel like you need some additional answers for, or if you're stuck, we're here to try and intervene and to intercept for you anything that we can possibly do to help the process move along. So thanks for that, Jeanette. Any additional questions about certification? Okay. So we're going to move in now to registration. Again, the difference between registration and certification is really just specific to each of the utilities. And what you'll hear here is a difference perhaps in how all of us approach it, because even though we're part of the California Water Association, I want to just be mindful to let you know that we are each individual companies, right? We joined the association to leverage ideas, to leverage thought, to leverage approaches to what our requirements are as an investor-owned water utility. But at the end of the day, we are each individual companies with individual perspectives for supplier diversity, for how you register, how we actually interact with any of the diverse owned businesses that we work with. So to Ed's point, since he has to leave early, Ed, I'm going to reach out to you again, ask you to explain the California American Water way of registration, and we'll use the same popcorn, and we keep on introducing each other so that we get through this and allow enough time for questions. So Ed, you have the floor. Sounds good. Thank you, Holly. You certainly appreciate you taking the time to explain all of that to our viewers and listeners. Thank you everyone again for joining. I won't take up much time, but I did want to share with you how you can engage with California American Water. I did want to recognize some familiar faces. I had my supplier diversity event yesterday in San Diego, and I would encourage you to register on our site, which I'll talk about here in a second, so you're notified of such events. But Bianca was there, Sharon was there. Certainly appreciate your support in coming out to that event. I know Rhonda, great to see you or hear your voice. Rhonda, I would ask this, I was made a note here that you were working with recently released individuals, and Lauren and I and Jeanette are part of a CWA Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. We're talking about how we can maybe develop creative programs. So I would be very interested, Rhonda, if you wouldn't mind following up with me after this on what you're specifically doing around recently released individuals, and perhaps we can create some sort of program from a CWA perspective. Can't promise, but would be interested in that, Rhonda. So if you would reach out, that would be great. Sharon, you owe me, you and I have to get together on a session with your company and helping those small diverse businesses. Lastly, welding, Pamela Richardson, please reach out to me, because I know we have some immediate welding needs that we need from a water utility perspective. So please reach out. Quickly, the website to register with California American Water, and we're going to send this out just like our contact information. Maybe we'll update our contact information sheet
that were sent after the call with our individual supplier diversity links, but it's www.californiaamerican.com/supplier diversity, www.californiaamericanwater.com/supplier diversity. On that site, we tried to make it very easy for you as diverse suppliers. Anything and everything you need to know about doing business with California American Water. We also included links to the supplier clearinghouse. There's links to the commission, the California Public Utilities Commission. There's also details around our insurance requirements, specifically what insurance requirements you need to work with us, depending on what type of business that you have. It also includes the payment processing system that we use. So please visit the website, very user-friendly, again, packed full of information that you need to know as a diverse supplier and working with California American Water. Also on that same website is our registration process. You click on to register. Once you register, you fill in all of your information about your company, what your SIC codes are, what your certifications are. I want to be clear, registration does not mean you're a vendor. Because sometimes people get confused with that. Well, I registered and why am I not, whatever. It does not mean you have become a vendor. What you're simply doing with California American Water, I think the others will speak to this, is you're registering to let us know that you are interested in working with us. We use it when we have events to send out notification of events. We also search that same database, if you will, if we have some specific needs, and we try to look at those SIC codes and make sure that we reach out to individuals. So again, registration is just that. You're registering to say, hey, by the way, I'm interested in doing business with your company. My apologies, should have turned this on vibrate. The other item that you'll note on our website is there's a section around if you want to become a vendor. There's a list of items that we ask for, your W-9, your certificate of insurance and things like that. I need to update that because I'm finding that people are submitting that even without us reaching out to say, hey, we're ready to take the next steps. But just we put that out there so you know what's required. But I would say don't go through the process to submit that until we have a conversation about what our needs are. I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to make sure. Oh, there are many opportunities to work with California American Water, as Sharon and Bianca knows from the list that our operations and engineering folks shared during our event yesterday. I won't take time to go through that because I want to be mindful and respectful and let the other individuals share their information about their registration. But I say this to say that most of it is the larger dollar spend for most all utilities is around infrastructure, right? It's around underground construction. It's around engineering. So if you touch any of those larger infrastructure, I know Bianca does because we've done work with Bianca, but it does indeed, the larger dollars is around infrastructure. That's not to say that we don't need a Sharon Evans for the business resource groups to help diverse suppliers. So there are professional services that we look for. One of the toughest areas for California American Water to find diverse vendors is around well drilling, well rehab. Pamela Richardson with welding. There's very few African-American owned welding companies, which you probably know already. So there would be a need for that type of service. But anyway, those are infrastructure. That's it for me. I'm sorry I have to get to another call. I wish I could stay on with all of you. I will stay on as long as I can, but that's pretty much it for California American Water. Holly, thank you.
So I guess I'll just go ahead and take that time since you've passed it on to me, Ed, and just talk about actually two things. Number one, I have been with Liberty Utility just over a month now. So in terms of, how do you register with Liberty Utilities to become a potential candidate for any of our sourcing events? Right now, you would want to use my email address. I am in the process of setting up what that registration process will look like. So bear with me as I get that done. And Angela, I can always circle back. So when that's set up, and that way you can provide it to your membership. But for right now, if you're looking to register as a potential supplier offering goods and services to Liberty Utilities, my contact information for Liberty Utilities is on that contact sheet. And I'll go ahead and take this opportunity to speak about Golden State Water, because I did set up that particular process. And Golden State Water is not on the call today, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least provide some representation for any of you that might be looking at Golden State Water Company. You can go onto the Golden State Water website, which is www.gswater.com. And then once you get there, you're going to look at who we are, or even type in the search bar supplier diversity, and that will take you to the supplier diversity page, which will get you to the link to register. And again, as Ed said, this is not automatically, I registered, how come I'm not getting any opportunities? This is to provide a visual to the operational teams at Golden State Water, eventually Liberty Utilities, should they be sourcing for some goods or services that are needed for the individual projects that they might be managing. So I can drop all of that into the chat. I see that from you, Dana. I will drop it into the chat. And certainly if you just have any questions after this call, you can reach out to me on that email address as well. In terms of the opportunities for Golden State Water, the opportunities are really varied. And I believe that they're still the same because I've only been gone a month, but we're too looking for diverse-owned companies that can provide welding services because we're short there. To be perfectly transparent, we are all looking for African-American owned businesses that can provide the goods and services that we're looking for. When we look at our demographics of spend with African-American companies, it is a wide delta from some of the other diverse categories, as well as our Native American and Asian American. So again, this is an opportunity to really think about, do you want to maybe reach out and find out what the greater, more detailed opportunities are at some of these water utilities? So for Golden State Water, welders are always needed. Rhonda, I'm not sure about Golden State Water or Liberty Utilities, but I'm hopeful that as we return to work, that there might be some revisiting of office space. I have not heard that specifically, but it might be something to just kind of consider when you're registering with some of these water utilities. I know that in Golden State Water, as I was leaving, the company was just returning to work. And I didn't see a lot of renovations or anything like that, but I'm assuming that there might have to be some adjustments made. Don't quote me on that, and certainly don't ding me if there's no opportunities there after all. In terms of Liberty Utilities, we're always looking for people that can provide, again, the welding, things that are very necessary and intrinsic to the water utilities. And you might hear this from some of my other colleagues. We're looking for diverse-owned companies that can do construction, that can do pipeline installation. We're looking for actually someone, I just got a request today, someone that can do logistics and maybe warehouse consultation. If you know of anyone, or if you're providing those services, we're looking for that at Liberty Utilities. In terms of, again, how do you contact? For me personally, I will provide my Liberty Utilities email address. For Golden State Water, there is a contact on our contact sheet. That is the Vice President of Regulatory Affairs until they fill that position. So if you do submit information to that Vice President, just be patient until they can get someone in the position that I've just vacated. So that is all for me. Jeanette, I will pass it on to you. Are you on mute, Jeanette?
Thank you. You'd think that by now I'd know how to unmute quickly, right? Well, thanks, Holly. So
Mhm.
yeah, I will go over San Gabriel Valley Water Company's vendor onboarding process, which is actually very similar to Ed with CalAm. We do have a vendor application form on our website, which is www.sgvwater.com. I will put the information in the chat when I'm done as well. You can fill out this form and email it to me with your statement of qualifications, and Daryl and myself will take a look at it. We'll see if it's a service or product that we can possibly utilize and are in need of. And if so, we'll reach out to you and ask for additional information like the W-9, the insurance certificates, et cetera, resumes, references, and all that. After we do a check on resumes, we usually will have a meeting with that particular department that this service or product is for. And after a meeting is conducted, we will get final review and approval to add the vendor to our qualified database. As Ed mentioned, just because you register does not mean that you are a vendor in our database at that point. It is just showing interest. If we don't have a current need for your service or product, we will put you into a prospective vendor database. And I do go through that first when we're looking for, when we get a request for whatever it is, landscaping or project management. Daryl and I will go through our prospective vendor database first to see if anyone has reached out, and we will contact them from that point. Feel free to send me and Daryl your statement of qualifications, and we'll take a look at it. Even if you're not certified yet, or if you're eligible, we can help you through that process while we're utilizing your service. Oh, sorry. And help you get certified. But yeah, I'd like to take a look at, I heard from a few companies today, and I am interested in some of the services that are offered. So I'll put my email and Daryl's email in the chat, and you guys can send me your statement of qualifications. As far as like what we're looking for, what we're in need of, pretty similar to what Holly and Ed were speaking about, drilling and rehab, pipeline installation, construction management, generator, traffic control companies we always seem to be looking for. And we were looking for a warehouse inventory management system as well, consultant. So those are just some of the areas that we are in need of service at the moment. But yeah, I think I covered our whole onboarding process. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So I will pass it on to Tim with San Jose.
All right, great, thank you. So early on in the call, I went ahead and I put in the chat, I think it's the second chat item to everyone, San Jose Water registration link. I won't try to share anything or go through that in great detail, but I wanted to let you know that we use a company that's a third party called Avisar to register you. One of the things that I think you're probably aware of listening to all of us is we each have our own registration process, maybe our own registration database or link. So one of the things that I wanted to try and do is make anyone who registers more visible. So there are other companies that use the Avisar platform. So when you go in and you put all your information in, there's several things that can happen. One, other companies that use Avisar can find you. So it's not just registration simply for San Jose Water, but as it happens, there are a lot of organizations, especially in the LA area, that use the Avisar platform. So it has happened that people wanted to do business with San Jose Water. They registered through that link, and someone else reached out to them not associated with San Jose Water at all, perhaps the airport authority or something like that in LA. So that can happen, and wanted to help out in the kind of an arduous process to register for every company that you want to do business with. So hopefully that helps. Also, the Avisar platform has more in it than just vendor search. For my company, San Jose Water, we utilize that whenever there's an opportunity. So if you go in and register, you're not going to hear from us immediately. You're not going to get something that says, hey, you've registered. Thank you. You're on our list. We're looking for opportunities for you. The way it exists is we have decision makers throughout the company that make purchasing decisions. So we've given them access to the Avisar database. And if they have an opportunity that pops up, one of the first places that they're going to go is the Avisar database to search for a company that has a capability that matches the opportunity. So that's the first place they're going to go. Now, let's say that happens, then and only then will someone reach out to you and say, hey, I found you in Avisar. We have this opportunity. It might be a directed award. It might be an RFP. That's when they would engage you. Now, if that conversation leads to a contract or they wish to do business with you, I'm talking about our internal decision makers, then we would send you what's called a vendor intake form. And that vendor intake form captures a lot of what many of my colleagues have already mentioned, your W-9. And once you fill out that vendor intake form, we put you into our ERP system. Once again, that's an indication that we do intend to do business with you, but it's not a guarantee. It just says that we have the intention of doing some business with you. But that would be, something for you to work between the person who sent you the vendor intake form and yourself to talk through that. So that's it in a nutshell. Also, I should mention on the Avisar platform that when you're in there, there are some companies that will actually put out RFPs. There's grant information and so forth. So it is possible for you to find opportunities not associated with San Jose Water with other companies by registering on the Avisar platform. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that. Lastly, I don't want to repeat what everybody said, but many people have already talked about opportunities are basically in the infrastructure construction area. So I won't repeat that. It's just, I'll say ditto for what you've already heard from many of my colleagues as far as opportunities go. So that's San Jose Water in a nutshell.
Jim, who would you like to pass it to?
I have not been keeping track of who hasn't talked yet. So anyone who's up next, feel free to grab the mic.
Jose looks
Tim,
like he's geared up.
Yes, I can go next. Thank you, Tim. For everybody, just included on the chat our website that is relevant to this conversation. I will put it into context. Registration is really the last step. I will rarely ask you to do this before us identifying an opportunity, an RFP, or a purchase order for you to work on. I frankly don't want you to do any paperwork if there's no available opportunities. With that said, the website does include some of the information that we'll need. For example, your W-9, a vendor information form where we capture to whom should go the PO, who are the points of contact in your organization. Also, we have the information on our insurance, the insurance requirements. They're very similar across the board for the water companies. These insurance requirements can be reviewed depending on the type of work, depending on the size of your company. So this is something that we can take a look at. We also include the terms and conditions. Very important that you understand what will govern any transaction. And it is important that you understand it beforehand. The last thing that we want is for you to get a purchase order and find out that you have some redlining. And while we're ready to execute the contract, you still have a few questions about that. So we include that, and we encourage vendors to take a look at that way in advance. We also include, alluding to it, we include the payment process. How does it work? What do you need to submit? To whom you need to submit? We have contact information of our accounts payable team there as well. It is something that we are paying a lot of attention to. In fact, we're running a pilot program with a few of our diverse suppliers and turning them into Net 15. We understand how important cash flow can be for a small diverse supplier. So we include that information there. One more thing, depending on the type of work that you provide, we might require you to register with AVERA. If you have worked with any other utility, you might be familiar with ISN network. And again, this is just for safety. And it really depends on the type of work, so it's not 100% required. I wanted to close with some of the opportunities that we have. It is important that you understand that our contracts are cyclical. They can be from 3 to 5 years, and it really depends on where we are in that contracting process for an opportunity to become available for you. And finally, something that we really have coming up is water well destruction. In fact, we're gonna need contractors across the state that can do that type of work. Our team already let me know that this is coming up, so I thought I'm starting to source that. We're gonna go on an RFP for that. This is what I had in terms of the registration. Holly, I think I'm gonna pass it to Lauren. Who's next?
Okay, thank you.
So Suburban, we're a lot smaller than everybody else. So what we go through a pre-qualification process. You have to fill out a pre-qualification form with our engineering team, and then they guide you through what they need for the forms. But my best advice is to email me and get in touch with me. I work as kind of the middleman of introducing you to engineering, and if you fit the needs and services they are looking for, then they will get you started on the pre-qualification process. So I'll include my email in the chat. Feel free to email me any capability statement you have. We are what I'll repeat it, what everybody else was saying on our team about, the services we need are mainly in the field. We are interested in the welding, so definitely reach out to me. But everything, the procurement process does go through our engineering team, and they handle all that. They'll give you our PO terms and conditions, including our low risk insurance requirements. They also require contractors to have different safety certifications and requirements, which will be listed in the pre-qualification form. They also do a background check and ask for references. So if you're a newer business, make sure you take advantage of the people who you have done business with, or I always give the advice, include your past experience, maybe working at a company if you just started your own business. So feel free to reach out to me. My email is in the chat, and thank you guys.
Okay, I think that we have covered all of the water utilities. We've covered the certification. How do you register with each one of the utilities? We have about 22 minutes left for anyone to ask questions. I'll summarize this session up with this, that even though we came in with a focused agenda to talk about certification and registration and to give an opportunity to meet these water utilities, I hope that this has been beneficial to you, not just for the potential of what we offer and whether or not your goods and services align with us at this point, but you can see that it becomes a very natural and organic dialogue, that when we hear something about the needs that we potentially have, we're reaching out and calling out in this particular forum, again, without any guarantee that something is going to happen or a contract is going to be issued, but simply that the conversation continues. So we encourage you to, when you have time in your busy schedules, to just sit in and listen to what's going on in water or anything else that you might hear, as long as it is not impacting your bottom line dollar for that particular day. There might be a wealth of information that you receive or provide a different thought pattern for you if you've never thought about doing business with water utilities, or you've never thought about even interacting with maybe some of the people that are on this call. As you heard about some of the goods and services that they're offering, it might spark a thought or an interest for a potential partnership, or at least a conversation. So we appreciate that you came here today to join us. We still have 20 minutes left. We'd welcome any questions or any feedback that you have for this particular session. And as I saw in the chat, please know that our July 13th session, we're hoping to include some of our actual buyers on the call so that you can present your companies to them in this hour and a half, and yet provide your company with another opportunity to meet people that can expand the business and success of the companies that you're running. So I'll open that up to questions. Angela, Naomi, and Chanel, thank you so much for this opportunity. And we'll go ahead and go into questions. Anyone have any questions or feedback?
Hi, Holly. This is Angela again. How would our small business diverse suppliers find out about maintenance contracts for the properties, you know, like maybe janitorial and landscape, different kind of set of services or opportunities that might be available for each of the companies?
It would be the same way, either through the registration process or contacting one of the supplier diversity managers. I'll say that at least for Golden State Water, and I believe also for Liberty Utilities and maybe for the others, contracts such as those are usually on like a master services agreement. And so the question is, it's not that we don't need the services, but is the opportunity now, or is it we're not sourcing for that for maybe the next 2 or 3 years? But it is a good question because that gives time for suppliers who are providing those services to gear up, right? So if you reach out to one of us and we say there are no opportunities at this time, it's not that we're not using those services, it just might be on an already existing contract. And so the question is, when might it open up and how do I make sure that I either reach out or that I am part of the potential for sourcing? And I think it's going to be through the registration.
Okay, I can find out then about the master service agreements.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And I see Jose has put in there that at Cal Water, they're 3 to 5 year cycle. And
Right.
again, you know, it's a rolling cycle. For Golden State Water, same thing. Liberty Utilities, I'd venture to say yes, but I don't have that confirmed as yet. And for Jeanette and Tim, you're still on the line, Lauren as well. Would you say that those types of services are on a master services agreement for you too?
For San Gabriel, it just depends on the service.
Okay.
Most are not on a 3 to 5 year cycle. They're
Okay.
usually on a 1 to 2 year, or they're on call
Okay.
for some of our consultant work. So it just depends on the service.
Okay.
Same with
Yeah.
us. It just all depends on the service and the amount.
Yep. No difference. San Jose is the same.
Okay. And I guess, you know, on a broader picture, it's going to be the same, right? Depending on the type of services that we're looking for. It can either be on a master services agreement that has a particular 3 to 5 year cycle, but it can also be, you know, on just a purchase order, right? That is going to last over a period of time, 6 months, a year, depending on the services that we're looking for. Any additional questions from the audience at all?
I do see a hand raised by Sharon.
Okay.
Hi there. I wanted to really get some feedback in terms of, there's a lot of new companies or companies that haven't done water work with the water companies in the past. One of the most valuable tools in terms of understanding the landscape and what's ahead is every water company or CPUC firm actually produces an annual GO 156 report. And the insights and the value proposition is not only does it give you the information on what happened, what the spend was, what those categories and utilization is, but there's always a segment at the end of the report that gives you a plan ahead. And that forecast, the narrative, I have found that the narrative component is extremely valuable in terms of understanding what each of the utilities is planning, looking for, anticipating. You're pivoting your strategy. You know that you're going to have to target certain segments, or that you have upcoming capital projects in our arena, which means you're going to expand or retract your supplier diversity strategy. And what I encourage our businesses to do is, while you gain that recognizance, as we might call it, there's a real opportunity to figure out where your business strategy is a fit. And so when you see alignment, it's a great way of coming to the table, much more prepared, much already researched, able to have an intelligent conversation about how those plans and strategies reflect what you are doing as a business. So
Thank you so much for that, Sharon. That was great. You can tell Sharon has been around with us And we really appreciate that, Sharon. Tim, I see that you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Sharon for that comment. That is a great way to learn more about us. But I also wanted to just add on to that to say that, you know, those plans are put together at one point in time. And so things do change quite a bit. And one of the things, as a great example, I hope I'm not jumping the gun here, but I'm pretty sure that I can announce this, that we have obtained approval to move forward with smart meter installation. And that's going to be a multi-year, very, very intensive project to install smart meters. It's called AMI. And it was kind of a big announcement with internally here recently. And although you might find reference to that in the document that I put together, this is probably going to change quite a bit. Most of the opportunities ongoing around AMI, there's going to be a lot direct with us and especially with some of our subcontracting with some of our prime suppliers. So yes, you can get a directional view at one point in time by looking at our reports, but that doesn't mean that things can't change and we can still use you as the year goes on. So just, you know, repetitive, stay in touch, form a relationship, and hopefully things line up as you move forward.
Thank you for that, Tim. Any additional questions, thoughts, comments, feedback? Well, again, we appreciate that GLAC has agreed to partner with us on this, and that we hope that this has been informative and hopefully down the line impactful to some of you. We want to make sure that we stay connected to this organization and to each of you as appropriate. And hopefully that you will join us on July 13th when we start bringing in what I call the heavy hitters, the people you really want to get to know. And certainly we look forward to just the continued conversation, the continued sponsorship, and how we actually work with the GLAC organization. Sharon, Naomi, Chanel, any parting words for us or for this session?
Yes, I will go ahead and take just a few minutes of everyone's time. I definitely want to thank all of today's speakers. Hello, everyone. I'm Naomi Scott. I'm the Director of Operations here at the GLAC office. And wow, what wonderful information that we received today. And I love it in this popcorn manner that we received, that everyone got a chance to just get all of the nuts and bolts of what's going on with certification and registration. Thank you to all of the California Water Association companies and representatives for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you on July 13th. I do want to share a few of our upcoming events. In addition to July 13th, GLAC does have its member meetup scheduled for the end of this month on June 28th. And that is an opportunity for members to hop on a Zoom quite like this and do a little bit of a round robin introduction, and an opportunity for GLAC to get to meet you, as well as for you to meet some of your fellow members. You do have to be a member of the organization to present at member meetup. So if you're not a member of the chamber, you can sign up for as little as $125 today on our website. You can register for membership as well as register for all of our upcoming events at www.gl3asand2cs.org. All of you will receive a recording of today's event, as well as the contact information and the proper links that you need to get registered with each of these utilities today. If there's not any other questions, we will donate a few minutes back to your day. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Thank you to my colleagues, Angela Gibson and Chanel Frampton, and we will see you all on the 13th of July. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Thank you for the information. That was great. Great presentations.